Vrajam balante taposham Vrajam balam taposham Prabhu Pita Brahma Pudadalo Prahantavattasya Punanameva Priyasi Deva
Jaivarajyam balamrita kosham
And what about the other way? Rajyam Kingdom Balam Vitta strength and riches. Quotient Sri Prabhupada in 1905 from Laha by the Brahmin community of Laha founded Vedu. Vetted body Abhadrasya inauspicious. Puna again now may Abhut में अगर पापी assistant would be intelligent Brahmana. They were the supreme Lord Gopi and the cows. Translation purpose when is doing it. Assumption property. I'm uncivilized and sinful due to my neglect of Brahminical culture, God consciousness, and cow election. Therefore, I wish that my kingdom, strength, and riches burn up immediately by the fire of the Brahma's breath, so that in the future I may not be guided by such inauspicious attitudes. Progress in human civilization is based on practical culture, not consciousness tradition of laws. All economic development of the state will create commerce and agriculture industries must be fully utilized in relation to the above principle. Otherwise, the so-called economic development becomes a source of degradation. Cow protection means feeding the environmental culture that leads toward harsh consciousness plus perfect civilization. The age of Kali aims at killing the higher principles of life. Somebody else. Around the world, like pressure strongly resisted domination of the person. Within the world, the influence of the age of Kavi came at an appointment. And even a strong king like Maharaj Parikshit was refused to disregard of due to personal provocation of hunger and Maharaj Parikshit's lamented accidental incident and desired that all his kingdom, strength, and information of birth would be burned out for not being engaged in Bhagavad culture as such. Where wealth and strength are not engaged in the advancement of public culture, more conscious complexion, the state and home are surely to provide competence. If we want peace and conflict, we should take lessons from this. Every state and every home must endeavor to advance upon the practical education, God consciousness is visualization, and God prediction for getting sufficient sport to complete perfect civilization. Krishna. So today's verse and the section of Parikshit Maharaj is very, very amazing. I think yesterday Abdul Dimai took class on the previous verse. So what the theme was dependence on the Lord, repentance. And today's the theme is proactive and reactive and proactive. So this whole section is very, very amazing. I'll just have a review of the 18th and the 19th chapter, give you an overview what happened and what are lessons to learn. In this purport station we out that how Brahminical culture is so important. And the king is supposed to protect Brahminical culture. The king is supposed to respect Brahminical culture. But due to the influence of Kali, Parikshit felt that even he did not properly respect the Brahmana Samyadesh because of hunger and thirst. And he disrespected the sage by putting the snake, dead snake. And now he's repenting about it. And Prabhupada is talking about that how maintaining Brahminical culture is so important. So, unless we respect the Brahmanas, we cannot make a spiritual progress. The whole society, Namo Brahman Devaya, Go Brahman Devaya, Krishna Govindaya, Namo. So why Brahmanas are so in society? Because the purpose of society is achieved by having the Brahmanas. The question comes, who is a Brahmana? Today is the question comes, who is a Brahman? This is very, as a person to birth in Brahmana family is Brahman. Or a person showing according to the Brahmana is Brahman. So Krishna says, Chaturvanya Maya Shrishna Guna Karma. So Guna of a Brahman and the Karma of a Brahman. So you have very, very important. So Guna, he should be in mode of goodness. And Karma Pathan Patan is in Yajan. Done. That a Brahmana is one who doesn't take a salary. When he takes a salary, is not a Brahmana. Brahmana never lives on salary. They live on charity. That is the first. So from the karma point, Dan Parivritti. He takes charity and access charity, he gives in further. He doesn't act. He reads scriptures, teaches the scriptures. He does sacrifice and teaches others how to do sacrifice. What is a sacrifice? In the age of Kali Yuga, Harinam San. So Brahmana is one who is doing the sixth by karma. Right? If you have to know who's a Brahmana, so by karma. So first we say karma. So karma means he doesn't take salary. He lives on charity. What comes of its own effort. And excess, he doesn't accumulate money, excess he gives. Second, he reads scriptures and teaches scriptures. Third, he does Sankirtan Yagya, teaches others to do Sankirtan. So that's the karma of a Brahmana. Now what's the guna of a Brahmana? Shama Tama. He controls his external senses as well as controls his mind from sense gratification. Shama, Dama, Tapa, Shut. He's off spirit. He doesn't eat feast on Ekadashis. Right? Tapa, some tapa is there. Tapa also living a simple life. Tapa short term is Shanti. He's peaceful person, not aggressive. Shanti Ajama Evava. Arjanam means simplicity. Evava. Jnanam Vijnanam Astikyam Brahm Karma Svavajan. So a Vaishnava is always higher than a Brahmana, but a Vaishnava is while progressing from lower mode to higher mode, he first becomes a Brahmana, then becomes a Vaishnava. So that means a Vaishnava is also a Brahmana and should possess all these qualities, even not the karma there. So by this guna and karma, we know who's a Brahmana and who's not a Brahmana there. So with this guna karma vibhag sha there. And the Brahmanas have such a potency, if they curse somebody, it works. She is a little boy, खेलता हुआ दूध पीता बच्चा, बस अभी तक माँ के दूध छोड़ा ही होगा. He's just 8-10 years and he's playing with other boys. And he curses though the king dies in 7 days and that happens. Now, how many people say that it happened and it happened? So, Brahminical potency is this. One time, one person was telling in a class to the sannyasi that Maharaj, you are talking about so much suffering. I don't see any suffering. Everything is nice. I said, I bless you. Then he met some devotees after a few years. Said, never take Panga with sannyasis. Because they bless you from that lifetime, never had any happiness. Everything was miserable. So, Brahmana means if you utter a word, that happens. And that's what people call, if you see, when Krishna was attacked with the devils, you know what was their formula to get protection to Krishna? All the Brahmanas, all the qualified Brahmanas who doesn't have envy, who have self-control, who do not have excessive pride, if they bless Krishna, Krishna. It doesn't sound to us, right? In Kali Yuga. How by Brahmanas one can get a protection. But that's a Brahmana. There. So the Brahminical culture is the basis for civilization. And when this Brahminical culture is protected, the human civilization cannot make progress. Even in a devotee situation, devotee society, unless Brahminical principles are practiced. Prabhupada said, why have I come here? Because I have come to make a class of Brahmanas. I'll make a class of Brahmanas who will be the message of Lord. Because the Brahmanas who speak the message of Lord. So their mouth is, the Lord eats with the mouth of the Brahmanas. The Lord eats with the mouth of the so they speak the message of the Supreme Lord. The devotees of the Supreme Lord, and therefore the Brahminical culture is very, very important there. And today, and Brahmanas are truthful there. So whatever they see, if somebody speaks truth in life, then whatever he speaks becomes truth. There. So Brahmanas are truthful. So even the curse also that becomes truth. There. So, and so that's how the Brahminical prowess is there. So therefore, Parikshit and the king will protect the Brahmanas. Now it is by the good administration of Parikshit that Shringi had so much power. But Shringi didn't realize it. At a getting point, it was the good administration of Parikshit Maharaj that Brahmanas were really Brahmanas. And even a small child has so much Brahminical power. Why? Prabhupada writes in the 18th chapter. But he's using the same power got by the king to curse the king. And she was a very reactive behavior. It's just hard. कोई बच्चों ने मजाक उड़ा दिया अपमान कर दिया ये हो गया you know what are you doing बस चढ़ाते in college. So Shringi also मैं दिखाता हूँ if somebody little bit incites you and you become agitated and insightful okay now you have to teach a good lesson to the other person. It happens especially if a department in charge and somebody does without you then you feel like abhi now I'll teach a good lesson. Shringi thought, abhi Krishna चले गए तो क्या हुआ हम teach good. And Shringi said, he took whatever. and he uttered the curse. The way the Brahminical was uttered a curse, that Parikshit died. Let us please God come and kill Parikshit. Now he went to his father and told the father what happened. He was crying now. He's feeling repentant. There, and father told you fool. You don't know what you have done. He said, Emperor, he never deserved to be cursed. He never deserved to be killed. Because of him, only all protection is there. Now we will get karma of degrading the whole society, of killing a human person. Now here Parikshit is feeling repentant. And from the night, it was an arrangement of the Lord that Parikshit, that Srimad Bhagavatam comes through this incident. Like Arjuna became bewildered, so here Parikshit also became bewildered. It was the arrangement of Supreme Lord. And Parikshit is repentant. Is repentant that surely some calamity will come upon the Brahman. If you offend a Brahminical devotee of the Lord, reactions are if you therefore be very careful with the senior people, the Brahminical power can burn our bhakti with it. There. It has a lot of powers. The devotees, especially who are practicing, seriously, if you offend them, unless they forgive you, there is no hope. So, Prabhuji, for certain, that some reactions will come. And saying, let that reaction not affect my family, let me affect. Like you see, in case of Ramchandra Khan, his whole village only was burned for his offense. So Parikshit thinking that it offense affect me, not my family. And he's thinking, let the reaction come immediately. And now, the Samyak Rishi couldn't go with a heart. How will I tell the king that your cow should die in service? He sent a message. He hugged the ground. And how did Parikshit receive it? And that's called proactive behavior. So Shringi had a reactive behavior. Parikshit had a proactive behavior. And that's what the lesson we can learn in terms of reactive and proactive behavior. That's what Bhagavatam is teaching us. Right? How to behave in situations, how to devotee behave in certain situations. And that's why we'll be focusing on this theme of reactive and proactive behavior from So today morning only I became a little reactive. Jyoti was late from worshipping the Lord. And today, don't give him next time. So immediately you feel a reactive, but reactive. We don't, let's wait. Talk about in a very peaceful way, not in a reactive. So see, reactive person, when you get a stimulus, you must become impulsive, emotional, and reactive. Have you ever experienced somebody said a small thing, you make it a mountain because it hits some of your emotion. ऐसा कैसे बोल? ये मैं छोटा सा बोला, and then you reacted very heavily. Maybe people, that's what people start fighting for things. They take impulsively something's loud, and you just react. It's very reactive. It's very reactive. Which sometimes some people speak something. One time I gave a suggestion to a devotee. So if we are not having Lakshmi for the books, let other people get their own books. I'm so angry. I just gave a suggestion. Sometimes people become very reactive, impulsive. For small things, we say, yes, it's a okay. And now, when you become proactive means, when a stillness comes, you put your buddhi, and that's called as buddhi. Krishna says, buddhi yoga. The stimulus is coming to senses, to incite you, but if buddhi yoga, you calm down. Use your buddhi, not emotions, right? Let emotions Yes, for example, you're a little upset and you're writing a mail. So don't send the mail. Write and put in a draft box. Because that time you're emotional, like all emotions are coming. But next day, by next day, emotions calm down. Then you think from buddhi. Then you protect it. अभी किसी डिवोटी पे गुस्सा आ रहा है पढ़ने का मन कर रहा है you're feeling reactive emotional but थोड़ा वेट कर रहा so that emotions are deal with buddhi because emotions don't think what will be the result of my action but buddhi for and that's what the buddhi yoga is required. That's the proactive. So reactive is mode of ignorance and passion. It's passion. And proactive behavior is a mode of calm mind to do the things. And deal with it. And it's applied in any situation, dealing with the devotees, even in your office, right? If a manager supports you, how do you deal with this? It requires a proactive behavior. Situation of life. Because in proactive behavior, you see the consequences. You see the consequences. You got to have this in happiness in mode of passion, happiness in mode of goodness. In happiness in mode of passion, you see the immediate pleasure. You're not able to see the result of that. But happiness in mode of goodness, Vishame Samupasthitam. The result of this is Visha. So though you are seeing immediate pleasure, but you see that it's the whole exam. You reflect. You're able to analyze the if see we know in our dealings reaction, if you're able to analyze if I speak like the body the outcome, then you reflect. So that is proactively. You use your buddhi than the emotions. Rather than using your emotions, use your buddhi. Of course, their relationships are natural. Like mother, father, you don't use buddhi. Very thick friend. Right? You don't use buddhi. But when relations are not natural, better to use buddhi. Like with dealing with your mother, you don't use buddhi. Because it's a very natural relationship. People, people guna nahi manenge. So we need to relationship where we express emotions and things. But most of the time, dealing with people, you need buddhi to apply with it. Unless the relation is very thick. So response is to that. And buddhi based on Gita values with the objective in mind. Now, Parikshit, what will trigger husband and himself? And what is Shringi? Hearing his father was desperate. That was a trigger. And what is the immediate emotions Parikshit had? Regret and humility. So after he put a snake, he is feeling regret. But Shringi, anger and Parikshit accepts responsibility. But Shringi instantly considers the and he responds as a reflection. Shringi reacts emotionally. The most important one is what's the consciousness of Parikshit? Parikshit is seeing Krishna that. He says further, oh, I've become more attached in my family. I've become more attached to my family. Probably it is Krishna's ways to make me detached. It is Krishna's way to make me detached. So Parikshit is thinking that way. Like, so while repenting, he receives a news. He sat at the bank of the Ganges and he was thinking he maybe Lord want to take it. Lord want to take it. Therefore, Jesus is the emperor of the whole world. He's not like a prime minister of India or president who just come for 4 5 years and they're not guaranteed after 5 years there. He's there till the time is alive. He's the emperor of the whole world. And he has subdued Kali just to their feet. And he just get a divorce. A small boy has cursed you 7 times in 7 days. Just think you're going to your job and you get just 7 days last in the office. So the difference comes, right? If you go in the office and you come to know, done. How do you feel? A lot of stress enough. And though it is quite in today's scenario, it's not very new if this happens. I remember while I was working in software, into some in a big recession, and people used to make a joke. In US, you don't know when you go to office at the job, and when you come back, your wife is there online. And now, and many devotees in the yoga were losing their jobs. But we were cool. You take care of the job, no problem. We get some more time for ours. The point is this. Now, this is not an eight job here. So one bus you leave, you get another. So you're waiting for a bus. एक बस गई तो दूसरी मिल जाती है. Same way, if you're waiting for a job, you'll get another. One goes, maybe after some, after some struggle, you'll get a job. But life, you're not there anymore after 7 years. And you know about it. What your reaction? So think. If you are told that you've got a deadly disease, and probably 1 or 2 months, that maximum. Think about what was the reaction. The first thing you're going to do. And when you got a cancer, you think you're natural. Somebody has cursed you to die. Somebody has given you some poison. He wants to take a revenge from you. They gave you poison by which you will die in the past. What comes to your mind? It's not a natural thing. Somebody else. This is sudden shock. And we want to curse that person who is so or at least speak anyway, I'm going to die. Let me kill him and if anyway I'm going to die, let me kill that person because उसमें मार है. Let kill him and die. What thought in this one? But what is direction? What is that Lord thought very attached and he wants to take him back to God. So he is able to see Krishna's son that is. That's it for the other top. Who can see Krishna's hand in a deadly situation? That's so he's able to see Krishna's hand perfectly. And because of seeing Krishna's hand, he's seeing Krishna has come to be in the form of death. But Shri is saying Krishna has gone. I have to take the charge. Are you able to see the difference between Parikshit and Shri? Parikshit is able to see the situation as a hand of Krishna. Whereas Shri is not able to see the situation. Krishna is thinking, no, Krishna is not there, I should take the charge. So this Dvanda in life. So to the degree we see Krishna in the situations of life, to that degree we are a devotee. To a degree we see the events in our life disconnected from Krishna, where we have non-devotees, like Shri, and we reactive react. So devotee is one who can see Krishna's hand in every situation. And that's how you become a devotee. Because when you see Krishna's hand, your reactions are different. But you see Parikshit, by punishing Kali, he did not know, okay, it's Krishna's hand, let me not punish. He was doing his duty. But when something is coming, it's Krishna's hand there. So think Krishna's hand doesn't mean neglecting your duty. And that's the life of Krishna. And how could Parikshit see it at the time of death? Because full life is so that. If today you can see the hand of Krishna, the reverses of the life, then at the time of death also we will. And that's the greatness of action. He could see Krishna and the hand of Krishna even ending his life. He would have said, Lord, I'm a devotee. You protected me when I took birth. I did so much service for you. My subtle Kali. What's the result? I got death. Could have thought like that. Suppose somebody did service for 20 years. Now he's told, chhod do. It's so difficult for them. They become rebellious. That is, people are sidelining me. These people are. Yes. A lot of revenge, a lot of. Yeah. And people go to depression. What is happening? Even sometimes people, they change some ways how they will practice Krishna consciousness in their life, and they put into so much of inferiority complex in depression. Just changing the things in life so much. But here is Parikshit, he's able to see Krishna. And to that degree, we learn this one thing. This one thing. How to see Krishna but life. We can go back to the Godhead. Satyanukampa sasamadhistham kunchan eva kritam. Hitamang apurvi viddhana namaste. That even in difficult rehearsals, he thinks that this is my own karma and wait for Lord's mercy. Continuing his devotional service, such a person claims a rightful place in the kingdom. So that faith, that trust on Krishna, that Krishna loves me. And he has sent the situation because he loves me so. His Holiness Radha Swami Maharaj was in Mumbai, and one devotee came, Maharaj, you're such a great devotee, but how soon? Because Maharaj had got paralysis, right? So how Krishna did this? You know, how is there? Maharaj said, no, Krishna is very merciful and he can. Krishna is very. So that's a devotee. A devotee sees Krishna's mercy in every situation now. And we at our level of hope and pray, Lord, whatever situation comes, let me not blame us, blame you. Let's not blame the situation, blame the people. Learn to see what's the lesson for me to learn. What's the lesson for me to learn in that situation? Because Krishna has some purpose. Krishna has some goal with whatever situation is going. He has a purpose. And you will realize not that time, you realize after 5 years. Realize that after 5 years. Whatever Krishna did, it was the best. I didn't realize at that time. How do we explain? Like I remember, how did I came into devotions? One boy was troubling me. I was sitting, why was this happening to me? But then I went to my mother told me to read Hanuman's. And that's the time I started reading Bhagavad Gita. If that boy would not have troubled me, I would not have come to. And amazingly, I was a very simple, pious boy, but that's the time I was going with wrong association. That's the time. And that time only boys start troubling. Then they start funding, why the. And that's why I could come out going from that bad association and bad. Other would have been spoiled. So Krishna protected me, just going towards that. And Krishna at that time only this type of situations came, which made me realize. And that became an impetus to search for Krishna. Yeah. So see, in a devotee's life, now we are already devotee. Why Krishna has to be? Because still we are not a devotee. We are Krishna Itara. We are many things other than Krishna. Yeah. At one time, one devotee of the book distributor. And this book distributor devotee, he was very much this book distributor devotee. He was he used to distribute books, but was busy, not getting time for reading proper books. And now the bus got accident. And the temple president came, so I should give him some dilasa. Please not. And he went, he was happy. Probably मतलब book distribute कर रहा था, पढ़ता नहीं था, तो भगवान ने पढ़ने का सब. Krishna gave it time to study proper. Krishna gave it time for reading Srila Prabhupada. That so much is important. How to work. And amazing, all great sages came from everywhere after hearing this news. And Prabhuji is showing very, very humility. And I think that's section will take in tomorrow's thing. I want to focus on this one theme of proactive and it can really help in all situations there. So his consciousness, you see hand off, he is not able to see there. And because of that, he converted misfortune into greatest. It was a misfortune, but that became greatest fortune. Till the time Bhagavatam is glorified, Parikshit is glorified. In fact, the very first kind of Bhagavatam has his past name of Parikshit. What a clear step. That not dying, he's making, he himself did not end back to God, he created a opportunity to go back to God. So there's a great Sarasha Prabhu in 2016 and 17, 15, 16. He did Vidyapita, due to which he was staying in GB, not in Pune. And there's a big toll for Prabhuji's services there. But Saturday, Sunday, he will come to Pune or some teaching program, or will go have camps there. Then Prabhuji mailed to Prabhuji. Prabhuji, your example is like a person because you went 2 years for reading Bhagavatam. So many devotees started reading Bhagavatam. Because everywhere, Pune, Kanpur, Kolkata, everywhere I was started with you. And all Ramsari started. So by your example, so like Parikshit, because of him, Bhagavatam came. Because we have gone 2 years, now so many devotees are reading Srimad. So the situation of how we do. So long-term outcome becomes instrument of other. Now let's see other examples on Srimad Bhagavatam. Chitketu and Kirtadyuti. Now Kirtadyuti's son died. What he did? Hey, Providence, your food. In the lifetime of your father, you're dead. He was done. He's so reactive behavior or not? But Chitketu Maharaj, his curse would become a devil. Chitketu as a Vidyadhara, this curse to become a devil. How did he behave? He humiliated. He said, I accept the curse. And he said, why to lament? There's all the ways. What is hell? What is heaven? So he uses curse for purification. And what the result? Our last karma was done. And he went back to God. So then you can see Krishna's hand in your life. Then one day that hand will put you to the spiritual worlds. Daksha versus Lord Shiva. Daksha was reactive or not? Shivji, everybody got up when Daksha came. Only Lord Shiva didn't get up. He became reactive. He would have seen maybe Krishna wanted me to become humble. That's why he's not allowing Shivji to. He could have thought. See, Brahmaji is far ready. Brahmaji didn't have problem, Shivji didn't get. Who had problem? He's being frustrated, fed up with it. But you see, Lord Shiva, see why he didn't get up? He was meditating on the Supreme Lord, so he didn't have to get up. And he saw the same Supreme Lord in the heart of Daksha. And Lord Shiva is at a higher position. His spiritually heart is humble. His first direct expansion of Lord Krishna. He didn't have to get up. But even when he was insulted, he kept it calm. He kept calm at this level. He didn't make it over. He tolerated it. He, beyond ego, is a deity of false ego. So false ego didn't touch Lord Shiva. And with forgiveness and less, he was forgiving. And of course, when Parvati got cut, that's the time Lord Shiva took action. The husband is supposed to protect the wife. So that's the time. Now Daksha needs an action. Till then, Lord Shiva for himself, he didn't take action. That's compassion. For example, Hiranyakshipu document. Hiranyakshipu was so, and Prahlad was so proactive. Right? So all the examples see. So reactive consciousness and emotion is ego-centered, filled with blame and anger, short-sighted, and leads to bondage. Because your karma has to come. If you tolerate it and let it go, your karma is over. But you react it, you are further created. You get into further bondage. So don't get into blame you. इसने मेरे साथ ऐसा किया. Because the moment you blame, you increase your karma. But you let, without blaming, let go on life. The karma is come. That karma is gone. But when you blame people, you increase our karma. These people did this to me. You increase your karma. And that is, and you will have revenge feeling. If you take the revenge, you will take another person. Because behind a blame will be a feeling of revenge. And you take that feelings of revenge, you will take another person. So you want to end this existence of birth and death. The best way is to end this existence of birth and death is yes, Krishna's mercy. Therefore, the Mukha is created. The productive consciousness principle driven is Krishna's center, acceptance and growth, long-term vision, and leads to liberation. More corporate takes away. I will share something. Manager in mode of goodness and manager in mode of passion. Reactive manager and reactive manager. Lot of lessons from this, you know. This will help us also because somewhere or other we are also managers and leaders. So when a leader is rigidly ignorant, he feels tired or he collapses in his chair or probably before that. His fatigue is linked with nervousness, tension, or anxiety. He is not present, and often there's a sense of low esteem and of life being a burden. Depression will be triggered a person. He feels negative thoughts and dysfunctional behavior and take care of the How do you see managers in company unless they smoke they can't work? I've seen the manager. हर एक घंटे में थोड़ा करके आता है तो उसका दिमाग से आप अगर 2 hours he'll go they can't work so much right? This is a common phenomenon in software companies. When leaders is stressed, they will move characterized by almost present sense of excitement. The stress it gives excitement. Stress doesn't give him depression, stress gives him excitement. His physical energy feels high, even though he may face high level of stress or stress. He tends to impatiently push himself toward one objective after another, rarely pausing to rest or he doesn't reflect. सोचना नहीं पता करना क्या His efforts are infused with a moderate to severe level of physical tension which after a while may be imperceptible to you. Without realizing it, by allowing the situation to persist, he blunts his ability to pay deep genuine attention to his own needs, other people's needs, project needs. And he can suddenly wake up to find himself at the age of burnout and exhaustion. Suddenly, at the age of burnt out and exhaustion. But person goodness feels low tension and high energy, remarkably serene under control, replaces tense energy with an alert, more optimistic presence of mind, peaceful, experiences pleasurable body feelings, deep sense of physical stamina and well-being, experiences best combination of healthy vitality and increased creative intelligence. Get an extra gear to just as much or even more with less struggle and stress. And that is something very, very important. Why do we face difficulties in our services? Here could be an answer. We are finding difficult. One small service to find out a difficulty in marriage. If you can learn to do your service in mode of goodness, you can do a lot of services. You can manage a lot of things. Because managing things requires a lot of goodness. In ignorance and passion, you will not able to see. In your ignorance, last moment you will remember Prabhuji. In passion, you burnt out people. Okay. You're always behind people. People run away when you become a manager. If people understand, okay, you are a manager, इनके अंदर काम नहीं कर. So you're always struggling to get volunteers. They're not able to take your passion. But if you're in mode of goodness, people will operate with you in service. Why? You will understand what is required for people to serve. And you create that platform, you create inspiration, you create those facilities. And people will have to serve, and they will serve more than. And that's why managing survey, any seva, and most of the devotees, how many is doing some management of some service, some coordination, some else. Right? In company, you may not be managers. In company, you may have manager above you. But here you become a manager, right? So now, when can you manage things? When you're in mode of goodness. Managing things becomes easy. Because you don't react to people, then people trust you. When you react to people, because people are very afraid to come. Right? So you have to listen to people, hear to them, understand their concern. It's all possible in goodness. In passion, difficult to understand others. Okay? You don't have that capacity. So to the degree you lie in more of goodness, we can lead a team. We can deal with people in the right way. So this proactive and reactive behavior, a lot of aspects. So one level is how do we see the situations coming in our life? And a higher aspect, even helping others to become Krishna conscious, to take the no response also. For a manager, the most difficult thing is to accept. Because when you give service to devotees, what would happen? They say no. And that hurts a lot. And if person is ignorance, when he hears a no, क्या फायदा से ही नहीं बोलता. If a devotee is in mode of passion, no, right? How to solve it? Sometimes it's and a goodness person will not say, do you have I hope you're free. So you give a benefit of doubt before only the person say yes or no. And still you inspire a person to say yes. If you have that, you find out the things. So that's how we deal with people different there. So, but if we do management in mode of ignorance, so कुछ होता नहीं है. Nothing moves. Probably nobody cooperates. Oh, you have written mail to everybody. Nobody responded probably. You know what people? अरे मेल से काम नहीं होता. जाके पूछो devotees. Passion will make everybody's check. So you require, if you're managing things, you really need to do it good. Otherwise, other things don't happen or Vaishnava that. And fine. those who are managing, they have to learn more about this behavior. And even after managing, things don't go the way you want. Sometimes you have to remove from the service only. Some complaint went, and you remove from the service only. Parish's case, the person, somebody cursed him only, some younger person. Madhav. But our case, complaint went, and you remove from the, or some complaint came about you. How do you take that up? Difficult, no? If somebody complained about me, I am trying to serve them. These people only complain about me. So all the situations will come in that. But if in retrospect repent and further, see life, how can I do the best? And then we can go ahead. Yes, any questions? Vishnu Prabhuji.
You were telling about the working in mode of goodness, right? So we try to, we actually try to apply in our daily life by doing our, there is many things actually. But somehow or other, it happens that we think of the different again. Like for example, if I try to first talk, somehow or other I think it comes that I can do this for the time, I think I related full time. So it is a constant practice or
One thing is not easy to give up routine. If it's so easy, everybody would have become it. If giving up routine mentality was so easy, everybody would have become. It's a process. At least you're understanding there is something wrong about it. Most people, even devotees, don't feel there is something wrong. So that's there is a big thing. And then as the process of bhakti purifies us. Any question? Any question?
right? But I know it happens everywhere. Like Parikshit Maharaj, even after 80,000, he knows
And interesting, Krishna is giving my own karma first. And then we will start blaming Krishna.
that Parikshit Maharaj was the emperor and he was like very visual person, right? So we see thinking that in this situation, Krishna's hand is there, very fine, but we are not at that level, right? So sometimes it may happen that we get to mental comfort. So I just wanted to understand how we should really
First, you should know what is your duty in that situation. So when you know what is the duty in that situation, you don't do mental comfort. And then Krishna has arranged this for you. Now, what should be my response? What is my duty in that situation? That has to be thought of. Yes, available.
In the beginning lecture, was mentioning about Brahminical culture. So some places Prabhupada mentions that one cannot become a devotee unless he becomes a Brahmana first. So, and other places, we also see that that whatever position one may place, varnashram-wise or any situation in life, one can actually become a devotee. So when Prabhupada explained that unless one becomes a Brahmana,
So, the Brahmana quality.
we expect Kshatriya to also have the Brahminical qualities.
He should also learn a sense of control, otherwise he'll become a Vaishnava. You also have some Shanti, Jnana, Vijnana, develop spiritual realization. Otherwise, how will you be a Vaishnava? Exhibition, the Kshatriya, the Vaishnava. Arjuna also had this quality, Jnana, Vijnana, Shama, Dhamma, he has a sense control. No, Urvashi also he could say. Indra was amazed at his sense. Devotee, even in the Kshatriya has Brahminical qualities.
And we are discussing that here Parikshit Maharaj is meeting especially. He morally Parikshit Maharaj have every right to react, but
He, in fact, they have power to counter that also.
so but here we see that Parikshit Maharaj he used his buddhi and he thought that he has some Krishna hands, but many times at least in my case that we try to think proactively, but they also they think on a material intelligence platform. We always think on a moral line that yeah, he's wrong, I am right. And then after thinking proactively, also we react.
You thought proactively, but it's mental level. You have to think proactively based on the values of Gita. And you have to go more deep into philosophy. Then responsibility. It's a process. So proactively using mental intelligence will lead to not much good. But proactive means go according to Guru Sadhu and that we shouldn't take rules from people. Please proactive. The positive part is there. Yeah, mental people, even they be proactive, they act in a mentalistic way. But in proactive, at least you have a better response. You think of consequences, even in mentalistic way, yes or no. So that may help not to worsen the situation. But in a nice further, it's a bit
Usually, once a mistake is being committed, so what is the solution that it gets over the what can see that repentance was done from Parishit Maharaj, but Sringi did
Yeah, so proper rise, a small boy is chosen so that he can be forgiven. Who begs sorry from that Krishna or whatever Vaishnava you are offended, you should go and ask forgiveness.
So, Burma and up till the age of 5 years, the child is forgiven, but here I think for age that
There's no age for child. And minors are forgiven. Minors have different underrating.
So the management service requires a lot of goodness. So when service is given from authority towards, and we have we have a lot of passion, and it is very difficult to come on goodness because it takes a lot of years to come on that. So should we reject we should change the service, we should say no to the alcohol.
So we should learn practices in mode of goodness. So we may not be mode of goodness, but we should learn the practices in mode of goodness. If, for example, what is modern corporate? Modern corporate management training. They teach people practices in mode of goodness, not to give feedback at the wrong time. There are no protocols followed in the law. If you can't behave that way. So they train based on practices. So by that practice, they don't come to goodness, but at least they know how to manage it. Right? The senior managers, how many senior managers? Much better than the devotee. No? You see, right? They're much cultured. Many of the companies, the managers are very. See, I remember IBM, I worked in IT. They come to devotee sector, तो वो पता नहीं कैसे like, but that is superficial. They just trained. Their passion and that edges are being. And that's why in ISKCON we need training for managers. Even some devotees managing thing. And that's what I know. Servant leader apply training, empowerment. Those who leaders, they should know how not to burn other people with their passion, and that requires training. Because to come to modern goodness will take time. But by training, at least you don't do damage. Yeah. So therefore, you should learn some training. Like you can find some email lectures or Mala lectures. So many this in like this is one of the topic, proactive and reactive behavior. So it's a Bhagavatam class is all the training for leaders and both groups together. So we need topics like this. And that's why I thought this topic of proactive and reactive and management.
Thank you. Your content is always very nice. Very good content like CS sound.
Some all we have learned space average. I guess I think say 35. Set up a good example for ending the class and they will not have tension in the office partner and they feel happy, sense of energy and we feel happy. Gives a sense of happiness. Clap and I can see that happen in the face. That's also in goodness to end things on time. Yeah, Dilip.